Good morning. My name is Jonathan Tembo and I'm the Communications Officer CODEA. Thank you for coming.
Alright, thank you so much. Now that we have an idea of who is here and who is who, I would love to welcome you once again and thank you for your time that you made it here. After self-introductions, I will be welcoming the director to give us a few remarks and to tell us about the organization. But I just want to emphasize, whoever is here, the feedback form that you've been given is very important. Just give us feedback, both positive and negative, because it's where we learn from. And as you heard people introducing themselves, we have people from Kasese and Ntoroko. This is simply because this is the project implementation scope area, and we put into consideration every stakeholder at different levels. That's why you hear people introducing themselves as far as lead farmers, people from the district. We also expect people from the Ministry of Environment and Water, because every stakeholder matters to us in this project. And that said, allow me to welcome the Director of Consultation and Fund Agency, who will then give us a few remarks and give us an overview of the organization. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. John. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to this very important engagement, which is basically a stakeholder consultation in regard to the Rwenzori Yethu Project, a project that seeks to improve the livelihoods of people across the Rwenzori while enhancing ecosystem services. I am Muhindo Janakon, and I'm privileged to be the founder and director of CODEA. I want to recognize the teams from the districts. So far we have Ntoroko and Kasese represented. I want to recognize the representative of WWF, Uganda Country Office. Mr. Yana, you're welcome. WWF has been our partner since 2013, and we have had a number of engagements with them. I'm glad you are able to respect our invite. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to briefly take you through who we are, because the engagement is basically going to help us understand what CODEA does and how it links to the project. CODEA is Conservation and Development Agency. We are an indigenous NGO incorporated in Uganda as a company limited by ICT. And this organization has been in operation since October 2010. Our offices are based in Kasese, but of course we are mandated to operate across the country. So we have interventions in these different districts, including in Ntoroko for now, but also other districts in the past projects. We have a long history. Like I said, we started in 2010 as a CEO, and over the years we have graduated into an NGO and later become related by guarantee. We employ a number of approaches. Mainly we work through direct implementation, but also we engage partners to deliver mainly CBOs, depending on the design of each project at a time. So the organization's mission is empowering communities to achieve sustainable development. And we pursue this mission basically through skills development. Again, vocational skills document about 2019, which was also anchored on the idea that young people should be able to create decent work for themselves. We have been part of the implementation of the Payment for Watershed Services scheme under the Mubukunyamamba Water Users Association, which is an umbrella of NGOs and private sector players that use the freshwater resources around the catchment. This was done also with support from WWF and private sector players, especially those in the hydropower generation industry. We have implemented sustainable catchment management interventions around the Nyamata River catchment, still with WWF. We have worked on renewable energy technologies with WWF under the Champions Initiative. We have also worked with the International Labour Organization on promoting entrepreneurship development activities across women and youth in Uganda. So this is part of the several projects we have implemented in the country, basically to flash a little bit of our track record. So working with CODEA is a good thing. We want to thank you for honoring our invite. Our today's engagement is aimed at ensuring your input into the project that we are just started implementation in the Rwenzori, so that it addresses the real issues surrounding the farmers, surrounding the ecosystems in the Rwenzori. I want to thank you once again, and I again encourage you to kindly give us feedback from the honest point of view. I expect everyone to have a feedback form so that even after the meeting, we can in fact use forms to further digest what you think the project should have addressed. But of course, even where you think we have done good, yes, let us know that you appreciate certain aspects, but of course, most importantly, where you want to improve. Thank you. I want to hand over to John. I think let me take the honor to introduce to you the financials of the Livelihoods Rwenzori Project. Like I said, we are doing it in partnership with our friends in Europe. Today we are blessed to have Jonathan Ramani, presenting the Livelihoods Fund. So Jonathan, you're welcome to speak to the Uganda community. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jonathan. I am the East Africa Portfolio Manager for Livelihoods Rwenzori. And I will make a brief introduction of the Livelihoods Carbon Fund Foundation that is funding this project. So, Livelihoods Venture Carbon Fund is a family of impact funds that started back in 2011. And it's a coalition of investors from the private sectors that are committed to reduce their carbon emission. Okay, they are looking for the carbon neutrality. Today, in our funds, we have up to 19 different investors that are large-scale companies, that you may know some of them, but that includes also some development financial institutions, such as the KNW or the DEG. So far, Livelihoods developed 3 different carbon funds. So as I was telling you back in 2011, the first carbon fund was reaching 45 million euros and aiming at 10 million tons of carbon sequestered. The second fund increased and started back in 2017 with a 65 million euro capacity. Those LCF1 and LCF2 have been totally engaged, and projects are ongoing currently. We are now mobilizing the third carbon fund that is this time twice the size of the second one, okay, with 150 million euros, with a target of 30 million carbon credits generated by this fund. We are currently half of the way on the LCF3, and we are still developing new projects, and the team in Paris is working on a fourth carbon fund. Now, what are we doing in these carbon funds? We are supporting 3 different kinds of projects. The very first one kinds of projects aimed at restoring and conserving ecosystems with high biodiversity impact. Okay, so in this one we are supporting mainly mangrove restoration in the coastal area. So it's tree planting, mangrove tree planting in the coastal area. The second kind of project is about regenerative agriculture and agroforestry. And in these kinds of projects, we are working with farmers who implement in their own plots techniques that are promoted by our partners that aims at reducing carbon emission but sequestrating carbon either in the soil, either in the trees. Our third family of projects is about avoidance, about carbon saving technologies, and in this kind of project we are working rather with cookstove technology or biodigester. How are we working? So as I was explaining, we have a family of investors that put money together in our funds. The objective is for them to mutualize the risk. Okay, they are not investing in only one project, they are sharing the risk among different projects. Okay, they give this money to Livelihoods Venture, the company I'm working with, for us to identify and design projects with our partners. This is very important to understand that we have the money. So we are going to pre-finance this project. There's no question of selling carbon credits to be able to finance this project. It's upfront and long-term financing of the projects. And the projects are impactful projects. Actually, our projects have 3 legs. As we work with the community and the rural communities, we have social impacts, we have economical impacts with these communities, and the third leg are environmental impacts. Of course, we've been talking about carbon sequestration, but we also look forward soil and water conservation, limiting erosion, and increasing biodiversity in our projects. So these are the impacts in the communities, in the countries where we are operating. But our projects are also registered under the global carbon standards, either VCS, BERA, or gold standard. So these carbon are generating carbon credits. And these carbon credits are distributed back to our investors according to their share in the funds. So all these projects are impact projects. It's an investment from the fund. Our investors commit the money before, they take the risk for the project to be implemented successfully. And the results of project implementation is the distribution of the carbon credits. I want to be crystal clear that there is no marketing of the carbon credits. The carbon credits that are shared with the investors are not making any business out of the carbon that are generated by the projects. Everything is going back to the investors. What is very important, we are working with local NGOs, people that are close to the field, people who know the local situation, people who know the communities. So, most of the time, like CODEA, they don't have the experience of large-scale projects, of long-term projects from 10 to 20 years, and they don't have experience in carbon. So Livelihoods is really, after a starting phase of due diligence about our partners, we are working together to develop the new project based on the know-how of the NGO, but bringing our expertise about scale-up projects and carbon projects. In the case of Rwenzori Yethu, it took us close to 2 years to reach this project that we are going to present to you today. Once the project is designed, we are presenting it to our investors who are going to approve or request some modification of the project, and then the project will start. Implementation, in the case of agroforestry project, is most of the time taking 5 years. It means that for around 5 years we are going to deploy the project in the targeted area, work with the farmers, and during this ramp-up phase we are going to plant the trees. And after, the project continues, because the trees, they need to grow. Okay? So the duration of this project, in the case of Rwenzori Yethu, it's a minimum of 20 years that is going to take place. So Livelihoods is engaging with CODEA in Uganda, in the Rwenzori, for 20 years. And all along those 20 years, the project will generate carbon credits. So just a few figures on the LCF3. We have key impacts for the funds that are mainly the 30 million tons of carbon to be generated by the funds, 2 million people to be impacted, including 500,000 direct beneficiaries. We are aiming at 90,000 hectares, planting more than 90 million trees in the whole LCF. I want to thank you for your attention. I tried to be brief, not to take too much time. And I will leave the floor. Thank you. I will leave the floor now.
Thank you so much, Jonathan Tomale. When I first interacted with him, because he's French, I wasn't hearing his English very well. But down the road, we can now communicate. I can speak a few words in French, and he can also speak a few words in Lukonzo. So the constant interaction has been good. And because they are our funders, we really appreciate that he has been able to represent Livelihoods Funds. So without wasting any other time, we've had brief communication from the director who gave us an overview about CODEA. We've also heard from the Livelihoods Funds. At this juncture, allow me to welcome the chairperson, Kasese, to give us a few welcoming remarks. Like we said, stakeholders are very important, and in Kasese, we are implementing a very large area, about 23 sub-counties, and it's only fair enough that the leadership has a word to say. So allow me to welcome the chairperson to give us some welcoming remarks. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Once again, my name is Havna Tweda, the District Vice Chairperson Kasese, at the same time, the Secretary Production, Marketing and Natural Resources, Kasese District. I want to take this opportunity to welcome all the stakeholders for this engagement. My neighbors, the team from Ntoroko and the team from Kasese, we are so much delighted having you today for this engagement as we plan to have the entry for Rwenzori Yethu Project. I want to first appreciate the CODEA. I remember when we had the entry meeting in Kasese, this was really a golden opportunity to us as people from Kasese and equally people from Ntoroko. As we speak now, I'm happy when you have the focus mainly for this project, is also focusing actually at climate change implications. Yesterday, as we were in Kasese, we received a team from OPM, mainly for disaster, and very unfortunate, we had disasters. As we speak now, we have seen all over the media, and actually yesterday night it was even more worse than what you saw on TV. So why am I saying this? So when this project is really coming to Kasese, focusing on about 22 sub-real community that is actually affected. I want to, when we brought the component of, we had a lot of discussion in Kasese with the CODEA team and the director about the issue of livelihood. I want to thank Minister of Water. It's very unfortunate I've not seen any, but Minister of Water and Environment, they have helped us in many areas. Actually, in the course of about 3 years now, there has been a lot of engagements in Kasese, looking at issues of mitigations, how do we handle the issue of environmental mitigation. And I'm proud of members. In this house we have our professor who has really helped us, Dr. Kasese, to come up with the many. I think having that data is not easy. Some of us don't even think that we can. Dr. Kasese is our natural resource officer, but he has helped us as a district to come up with concepts on how we come about this situation in Kasese and also in the whole of Rwenzori region. So what to appreciate, as a district, we are not seated, we are working tirelessly, but I want to comment that as a CODEA, when we are implementing the Rwenzori Yethu Project in Kasese, I want to assure there is total cooperation from the leadership, because the engagements are already, people are asking us when is the project beginning officially. I still want to maybe talk to my Ntoroko team that I believe there is much that is being done in Kasese, and we have about 3 sub-counties because they equally share the same issues in Kasese. It's very unfortunate we have this all 3 sub-counties, but for Kasese, as we speak now, we have about 100 plus people in the IDPs now. And we have spent about 3 years, we have a team in water IDP, and the government is working tirelessly to resettle these people in the IDPs. So, if you're coming up with this project, that the Rwenzori Yethu Project, and mainly the issue of livelihood, the issue of climate change mitigations, with these social impacts, economic impacts, I believe it will not leave Kasese and Ntoroko the same. It will really cause a very big impact. I want to appreciate from the recent project we had from World Bank, we realized that through the intervention from Ministry of Water, the people have really changed. And now the disasters we have currently, they are not the disasters we had like in 2021. Last time it was more people died, very many, but at least today there is, even when we have these disasters, but at least the situation is a bit, the team has helped us. At least we have the evacuation centers, and people have been inducted that even when we have these disasters, there are areas you can consider on how best we can try to mitigate it. I want to thank the carbon. I heard about carbon, actually, I think Professor is the one who first introduced me. There are people getting money I didn't know. My question was, if you are giving people money because they are planting trees, what happens if this project ends? So he said, by that day, I want to thank the Natural Resource Office. At least we have planted over millions of trees. And at least what we are looking at is how sustainable is this program going to be. So when we are getting this small project on CODEA, I believe Kasese and Ntoroko will not remain the same. And I want to assure you that expect maximum cooperation from us as leaders to make sure that this project gets the maximum objectives as being cited here. And I want to thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Thank you for highlighting some of the issues we are facing in Kasese. If you've been seeing the media, we know we've seen some areas being affected by landslide. And you talked about planting over so many millions of trees. As Rwenzori Yethu Project, we are glad to know that we also going to be a part of this impact that we are going to create by planting over 3.1 million trees. Without wasting any time, allow me welcome a representative from Ntoroko. I will always emphasize stakeholders are very important for us. And we are also implementing in Ntoroko. So let us also have some welcoming remarks from Dr. the District Production Officer to represent Ntoroko. Thank you.
You're welcome, Joe. Good morning once again. My name is, for purposes of clarity, Dr. Bosingi Patrick Wagonza. I'm District Production Officer. I also want to take this opportunity to thank Jonah, Director CODEA, and the entire team for this engagement. We are privileged to come up to national level here for consultative reasons. I want to give you a brief that we have so much in common. We share so much in common with Kasese and the Rwenzori Yethu as a project. There is a lot that actually going to actually change or we shall benefit from. One, when you look at the geography, the Rwenzori Highland or mountain connects us from Kasese up to Ntoroko. And that one gives us very related agroecological characteristics. For us, we have 3 agroecological zones. We have the mountain zone, where we get crop farming with the moderate temperature. I think could be the case in Kasese. Then we have the plains, because our site is kind of Rift Valley, the greater Rift Valley through Kenya. I think this is the eastern arm or western arm of that Rift Valley where Lake Albert and River Semuliki are situated. So the temperatures there vary so much that it goes up to 37 degrees of Celsius. So it's very hot. And then the farmers there, they're basically livestock, they're pastoralists. And then we share with conservation. We have Toro Semuliki Game Reserve or conservation area. Then we have the National Forest Reserve on the top of Rwenzori, but it is more individual, and we share the border with the Rwenzori National Park, which is in Butubuchi. So we, as Ntoroko, We are a young district, younger than Kasese. We are 14 years now. Since 2010, by the Act of Parliament, we seceded from Livelihoods, and our key issues, first of all, we are food, I would say we are food secure, but we have a lot of challenges that at a certain time in the year, we become food insecure because of issues that Rwenzori Yethu may help to address that I will come to. Food insecure in the sense that quite many disasters. One is floods. Because of that geography, from the mountain to the bottom, when it rains, there is a lot of floods in the plains, the Semuliki plains, unless something is done. If there are no interventions, like currently, World Food Program is helping us. They are trying to work on the banks of River Semuliki. River Semuliki drains the Rwenzori, Livelihoods, Kasese, pour water there. And they are degraded. You know, people don't take their own environment serious. They do a lot of things, they graze, they walk, and they do activities that degrade the banks. So finally, when these banks, when the river fills, they break, and then all the water flood. Then we have drought. Immediately flood subsides, they drought. Because sometimes you may get floods where there's no rain. I don't know the pattern of rain is proper. It could be raining elsewhere, higher in individual ranges, mountains, and in Kabarole. The rain is serious. But at the end of the day, all the rain will drain down. You may find water in some streams and rivers running, where some other places are dry. At the end of the day, you hear people packing their things and leaving their settlements. So, with that physical or geography, our activities and our people are aligned to work like that. So, this one leaves us with what we identified as challenges. I may not dwell much on our strength that the high part or the highlands can grow food, but much of the people where they are cannot grow food. Because if livestock farmers keep their livestock where they will get all provisions, they have to save to get food, save to get tuition, medical settlements, and all that a family or household may require. So it is tricky that the level of degradation has actually been high until we went on to identify what is the problem. When CODEA invited us, the first meetings, so it's when we realized that actually we have a lot of landscape degradation, and that could be responsible for failing rain, may not stay properly, maybe it could be the reason why the floods and the soil sweeping and are happening. Then we were pleased with the news that because the three sub-counties we identified as the pilot will be example. We identified Nombe and Kargut sub-counties and the town council of Kargut. So I'm privileged I've come with one of the lead farmers in the implementation modality of CODEA. Mr. Ayenea. Yes, maybe you'll be given an opportunity, but he's my lead farmer. I'm proud to be with you at this national level today, that they are going to recruit other farmers, and then maybe what Jonah was telling us of the carbon sequestration, that carbon trade, I've not understood the science properly, that the project will help that they plant trees. We agree, we know that the trees actually mitigate conditions of land degradation. They restore rain. In that happens when we have produced a lot of carbon, the trees will arrest the carbon, then back to soil, and then maybe we can regain vegetation and the fertility, where we can grow more food and the life continues. So our model that the farmers that will recruit in the pilot areas, when it works out well, we're going to request CODEA that let us extend and bring on board the remaining part of the district. We have a few other partners. We have common ground. Common ground, they are restoring some parts of Kabutu in Itojo of a similar arrangement. They are also going to provide, I think, trees or some, we have agreed to put what is missing to that part they have chosen. We have Caritas, this Catholic Relief Services, working with the KRC. They are also supplying trees to farmers. But I very much like CODEA because the mode, the style we agree that in creating the woodlots, maybe where there will be even economic value, that when you have planted your woodlot in an organized way, you harvest. And as a synergy, when you are restoring our environment, then you get cash. But it's also that good method of boundary tree planting. If all the people will agree that along the boundaries, they plant maybe rows of trees, species that are compliant with the place, it would be a good thing. And then there is where you have agroforestry, we have trees and have food and you live with those. So my prayer or expectation is that if this project works the way our minds are being convinced, we pray that God will give us another green light. So with these few words, I want to thank you for inviting us to this national level that we can give views, and thank you for selecting us. We can give views that may modify the implementation of Rwenzori Yethu and many others you are planning for us. With those long or short words, I would say for God and my country. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I love the fact that Doctor has understood our project and is well aware of our technical systems that we shall be promoting in this project, the Rwenzori Yethu Project. Yethu is a local word that means ours. So this is our project, that's why we are all here. For those of you viewing us online in different countries, Rwenzori Yethu Project is our project to see that we improve our Rwenzori. Yeah, thank you. Without wasting any further time, you've had Dr. hinting on a few things to do with our technical systems. He had queries to do with carbon. That's why you have those feedback forms. For anything that is not clear, or any question, any clarity, please, you can give it to us through those feedback forms. But also, we shall be receiving feedback through our website. You can just look it up, www.codea.org. Now that we've introduced ourselves, you've heard about CODEA, our funders or investors, and we've gotten welcoming remarks. Allow me welcome the project manager, the Rwenzori Yethu Project, to tell us what this project is about, what is involved in this project. It is a 20-year project, so he may not really give us everything, but at least in a nutshell, we shall have an overview of what the project is all about. So you're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, John. Invited guests, the stakeholders present today, the district vice chairperson Kasese, the district speaker for Kasese district, district natural resource officers, partner, of course, most importantly, the farmers, for whom without would not be here because they are basically doing almost all the work. We are only facilitating the process. Today we are here to present to you once again for quite a number of the stakeholders present what we proposed to you much earlier when we were at home in our districts into the designing of the project. So it's not that we consulted you because we only wanted to hear from you, it's that we wanted to get your views and to see if we can have a project that is owned, that is responding to the need of the people. And so today, again, to put it into perspective, the reason we are here is for two reasons. One was to have the national view of stakeholders, because stakeholders goes beyond the farmers, goes beyond us, the implementing partners. We are expecting other guests from the Ministry of Water and Environment, and this Kampala today is to bring this closer to them, but also it is a farming under gold standard that we have other stakeholders participating in this. So the views you're bringing on board today, the views that the ministry stakeholders will bring on board today are for the purpose also of meeting the standard requirements of having this project listed as standard. These are some of the things that we will need. And so, Livelihoods Rwenzori Yethu Project was originating from the needs of the people. And these needs were out of an observation we made. These observations ranged from reduced yields to poor plantation management, to challenges to do with soil and water conservation, to situations where the farmers are not replenishing their soil by not applying either organic fertilizer or artificial fertilizer. And then, of course, there is already a lot of fertility in terms of soil, but also we've come to notice that usually when the soils are fertile, the people tend also to have an explosion in numbers. So these were some of the challenges that we observed. And so we had to go and do a feasibility study to see whether what we had observed was the reality of what was on the ground. And indeed, we found out that at least 90% of the farmers had already observed challenges to do with the loss of fertility, but also the fact that there was a soil erosion, which was resulting from the fact that much of the land is bare. So 90% of the farmers showed to us that they were very aware of this and they were very interested in planting trees. And then also because of the floods that had kept happened and are continuing to happen, they were still interested in learning about sustainable land management practices that will help them prevent soil erosion and loss of fertility. But also, we equally realized that the farmers were, yes, sought to plant these trees, but they were looking for timber and firewood. And then also we discovered that 51% of the people we had engaged were cocoa and coffee farmers. Of course, the Rwenzori is really the land for coffee, is the land for cocoa, but these farmers had not stamped their own coffee or cocoa trees, and this definitely has a very close link with the low yields and low quality production. And then we also discovered that 95% of the farmers we were interested in the land ownership structure, because the land ownership system or tenure system has a direct impact on the requirements for a project like this one that is being financed under voluntary carbon mechanism. We need to grow trees on land that we know the owner, because this is a project that lasts about at least 20 years. Therefore, if we are only growing trees on land that somebody is renting out, it's a matter of time. These trees will be destroyed when the ownership changes. So, indeed, we were equally interested in this, and we discovered that 95% of the people did not have land titles, and I think this still is important information for the district. People need to be supported. But as far as this project, our interest was what type of ownership did they have. And then, of course, we realized that 96% of the households were using firewood as a source of heat for cooking and for also boiling water for bathing or for drinking. So these were observations that we made. I mean, these were results from a feasibility study that originated out of the observations that CODEA had made. And so we sit down and design the project with our partners, Livelihoods Fund. And this project, we call it Livelihoods Rwenzori Yethu Project. So Rwenzori Yethu, like John has already put it, it basically means our Rwenzori. And we are trying to see what can we contribute to the observations that we had made, to what the science has already proven out of the feasibility study findings. And so what is this project about? This project is a development project. This is a development project. And being a development project, of course, whereas most of the other carbon projects usually will tend to focus on growing trees or planting trees, we are trying to do a mix, a concoction of solutions. And so one of the solutions we will be seeing later, that we are not only focused on growing trees, we are also focused on the livelihoods of the farmers that are growing these trees. And so this is a development but also tree project. It's going to take us at least 20 years while we are observing and working with the farmers. And then on top of that, we will be working with between 11 to 15,000 smallholder farmers. We intend to produce and distribute 3.1 million trees. And then we are trying to give them trees, but we will track only that part. So not necessarily that we must close the entire garden. And here our target is to do 1,500 kilometers of boundary. Of course, it's because we will be rotating around same area, but if you were to stretch it, it would be a very long distance. But because we will be rotating around farms, we are still very sure, and based on our technical system documents, that we will be able to achieve this. So where are we working? We are in 32 sub-counties of Kasese and 3 sub-counties. These are people who have put funds together, not for the sake of making any money from it, but to say, let's support as a corporate social responsibility, but also as a empowerment, contribute some money that is going to be intended to support the livelihoods of the people that will grow the trees, but also in the end, we can sequester carbon, and this carbon should be measured. If we can be able to get the carbon been able to reduce carbon by this volume. And this is what your money has been able to do. So for this case, the mechanism, and we need to emphasize this, the mechanism that is financing this project is a voluntary mechanism. It's not the active mechanism where people are investing for making profit later. No. People are giving money at first, are giving money for the purpose of the good cause, but also in return to just receive the carbon credits, and that's all. So generally, we are or to sequester in this case, we will sequester 1.32 net million metric tons of carbon over a period of 20 years. And this project is going to be registered under gold standard, and this is under agroforestry reforestation methodology. So the reason we are here again to emphasize is because the gold standard requires that we hold a local stakeholder engagement, and this local stakeholder engagement should at least cut across all the key stakeholders that will be affected by this project. We collect their views, and we get to sit around, like here we give to you what we think we want or intend to do, but also leverage on the experience with projects of this kind or experiences elsewhere to give us feedback to say, go slow on this, go fast on that, or change this, or we think this is not going to give you the intended outcome. So it's very good with the atmosphere. So those will also be there for the next 15 years. And this is basically how we are going to be implementing. Of course, most of these are already stated, but I just only wanted the stakeholder meeting we had in Kasese. We had as a project centered on supporting female-headed households, because we know this project requires a lot of labor intensity in terms of digging, establishing trenches, but also definitely if somebody is going to plant 1,000 trees, for those that are living uphill, we will deliver the trees to some location, but they must still take it to the location where the farm is. But even when we will give support in terms of, especially for the woodlot, in terms of digging, land clearing, and the planting, then the cost of maintaining the trees remains on the farm owner, and in this case, this is going to be a cost messenger. So we decided to give some leverage of support, especially for the women, and here we are targeting those that have identified themselves as household heads but are female. And one of the feedback we received was, how about people living with disabilities? And this, I think, Honorable Ham remembers well. There was a lady called Zawadi who raised this concern. We have agreed that we will find a way among the 3,000 people we are targeting in this, so that it's all encompassing. Of course, we cannot provide to everybody, but we will try to identify and evaluate the need, and we will see how we can manage this. We will definitely also be deploying labor gangs, and these, at the moment, we have proposed to deploy at least 50, and by 50, here we are looking at least 2 labor gangs per sub-county. We will progress. This year we are recruiting the first, next year we are recruiting another, and the labor gang should be having at least about 15 to 20 or 30 people, whom we will deploy to go and do land preparation, who we will deploy to go and support the women who will want to do soil and water conservation structures, but also we train them to become handy and skilled, that they can do this work even outside the normal project arrangement if they really help in this. So, just to put it again in summary, these are some of the project intervention areas and the targets that we intend to achieve. But the detail of the table is coming forward. So, how do we intend to deploy this project? We are going to deploy this project in a number of what we call technical systems. One of them is agroforestry, and under agroforestry, we are going to promote these species Lesiopsis emimi, this is a Omsizi. And then we will also plant Albizia. Albizia has the role of providing shade. Albizia will equally fix nitrogen but also will provide shade. Macamia or Omsandia will also fix some nitrogen but also provide shade. And then Spathodia emena has the role of fixing nitrogen but will also equally provide shade. These are indigenous tree species that farmers participated in the process of identifying and agreed that if we supported them in multiplying trees, seedlings, and to grow on their fields, they will be happy to grow them because these are been existing and they already appreciate the importance. So this is again how we intend to deploy this project while aiming at getting the carbon, but most importantly, to see that these can still contribute to increasing the production, but also land degradation, restoration of degraded lands, and also to provide other to provide other ecosystem services. Of course, definitely, like through pruning, they could still get some firewood in a way from, for example, Omsizi, but also for some of the places we've been to, we've seen people get excited about Spathodia for other reasons to do with the medical use, local medicinal use. Of course, at the moment, this is not our point of focus, but it typically communicates to. They recommended that rather, instead of having it being intercropped with the cash crops of cocoa and coffee, we rather give it to them to grow on the boundary because they still appreciate that it's good for them to get firewood, but it's also good for them to get the timber. Of course, for the project, it's also good for the carbon because it's fast growing and also it's more resilient to drought. So it's a win-win at this point until maybe again the farmers tell us otherwise. When you observe here, quickly you see that 50% of the tree species on the boundary are targeting firewood. And the reason we also specifically targeted firewood for this is that we want to see households become autonomous because, like we have already stated it before, 96% of the households we are working with are using firewood. So if someone has a very small piece of land and they don't have a woodlot where they can get firewood from, where are they getting firewood from? Most likely they are depending on external sources, and these external sources could be charcoal, could be that they are buying, or could be that they are actually encroaching on forest reserves. And so these are some of the ecosystem services that we are trying to equally provide as a result of this project. Now we come to the matter of all the technical species. The matter of all the technical systems is the one that we are promoting under Rwenzori Yethu is the one of a mixed woodlot, and so it's not only purely for commercial basis, it's not only purely for timber, it's not purely for firewood. It's that if we are going to grow these trees on a degraded piece of land, a bare land, a land that the farmer thinks they have nothing to do with, but trees can grow because they require minimum nutrient requirements. Maybe at the end of the 20 years, 30 years, they could start to realize that this soil has become fertile. And this is why you will see that we have trees that do, for example, this is deep-rooted, so it recycles nutrients from the deeper layers, brings them to the surface. And then the Bulgaria also has the element of equally recycling the nutrients, but equally providing the timber and the firewood. We have CODEA Africana. This is fast growing. It's equally again for nutrient recycling. Albizia, this we have already discussed before, is for nitrogen fixing, so that draws nitrogen from the sky, fixes it to the soil. At the end of the day, probably the soil is going to improve. And then we have milicia, and then we have kaya. These are all being grown for the purpose of rejuvenating the soil, but also for the purpose of ensuring that the farmer at the end of the day can get timber, and the voluntary financiers and equally get the carbon credits. So how do we distribute the number of trees? At the end of this project, this is how we will get the 3 million trees. So there are different tree species being distributed to different farmers, but in different proportions. These are already being discussed with the farmers, and the farmers already know how many trees. The way we have programmed the data collection is that after we have tracked your land, we are able to know how many trees, depending on the size of the land you have allocated us. We need to tell you that, Madam, here, I think based on this, the system has already told us we will give you 20 trees. So this is also to manage the expectation of the farmer, but also to tell them that we are very, there is certain spacing farming that we are following. Of course, again, because of the land size and the soil and water loss, we will promote soil and water conservation through digging of trenches, but also we will distribute land to stabilize the trenches, and also we will promote grass strips where trenches cannot be practiced, to still again continue to see how we can save the soil from being eroded. We will equally promote stamping of all coffee trees and cocoa trees as a way of ensuring that we rejuvenate this, because we already know that regardless if the trees big, yes, can give you the harvest you see in terms of size, but usually it has come to our notice and scientists know this, that most of the times the crop for the coffee is always not good, but also the bean size is always small, and these are very big qualities that the international market considers while they are buying coffee or while they are buying cocoa. This is how the Rwenzori Yethu Project is structured. We have the director, the project manager, we have the team, 35 community facilitators working with 250 lead farmers. We are progressively, especially for the lead farmers, we are progressively recruiting them over time. So far we are going to be working with 50 this year and over all this. And basically, again, like we have emphasized it, we will continue asking for your feedback. Today you're going to fill these forms, but going forward, continue sending your feedback. Our office is open, our website is ready to welcome this, but also our numbers are available. We will still encourage you to keep giving us feedback. And basically, this is it. Stakeholder engagement, in a nutshell, this is part of the stakeholder engagement. And of course, we have had so many engagements during the feasibility study. We've also had engagements during the project design, during district reception meetings. We held sub-county engagement meetings, parish level, and now here we are at the national level trying to engage. We have been following this as a deliberate plan for us to be able to engage. As I speak today, we are at this stage, and we are already equally doing this. We will, after processing all the information for this year, we will invite farmers again to inform them of those that have met the project requirement, but also to sign contracts with them or agreements with them, telling them that we are interested in the carbon, the trees, and the land where the trees are grown is and remains that, and that's what we have. So this is how we have been engaging. We have had quite a number of engagements. Up to 2,316 people have been reached out in the engagements we've had at village level. So we have really tried to engage and engage and engage and engage. And of these, we intend to at least work with about 1,500, but we have already engaged beyond. Of course, this still remains part of the engagements. Here are some of the pictures as proof that we really participated. Some of the people probably will recognize some of the faces that are familiar. This is one of the sub-county engagement meetings.
This is parish level meetings. This is again another one parish level meeting. This meeting happened in Isule, and the farmers were very deliberate and told us that we intend to see you promote Bulgaria rather on the boundary than within the farm. And we agreed to this, and we have invested this feedback and we have changed. I've already mentioned most of these, the changes that we have included out of the previous stakeholder engagement meetings that we've had with some of you stakeholders, but also most importantly the farmers. And generally also we have been engaging the Ministry of Water and Environment. So regardless of being present today, we have already communicated to them a month earlier, we sent them reminders. We have been having all these engagements with them, and we still continue to engage them because they are very key in this whole project implementation process. We will again echo, currently Uganda does not have a regulation that regulates the carbon markets. We are asking government, we know and we have been updated that there is a process ongoing, but other East African countries have already ratified this and they've already put in place regulation. Implore you, our leaders and stakeholders, to join hands and support us in evolving government, because we know that there is a lot of financing that is being received elsewhere as a result of this, and as a country we would still also be happy to see part of this money come, but also to see that the farmers receive the timber, receive the tree seedlings and the timber, because to the farmer, basically this is investment, because if somebody is able to cut 1,000 trees and each tree is being sold, this is what the whole story is about. Just allow me to give you one small additional information. We are required by the gold standard to show how we are contributing to the global sustainable development goals. And how is this project contributing? Development goal 1, employment, training, and equipping both women, men, and youth. And we are targeting about 100,000 to 125,000 individuals. Of course, at household level, we still now break it down to about 11,000 households. And this is definitely, we know, like I've already put it, if someone has already received that investment that they are going to look after, and later they are able to sell these tree seedlings, we think this definitely generates income for them. We have already catered for a way of ensuring that we are and deliberately supporting women, but also we know that women usually do much of the firewood use and the collection. So if they are having some level of autonomy of accessing firewood from their households, we think this will reduce on the labor and the time they spend in going to forest reserves to collect firewood, but also for those that are buying charcoal and firewood, they are saving some money. So this is another SDG that we're contributing to. Number 8 is the decent work and the economic growth. We will be providing employment, 39 full-time staff. These are already recruited. 250, these are, most of them are the big farmers, and then about 750 temporary direct jobs. These are going to be the labor camps, the youth that we will be employing to do the work directly, and skilling and equipping with good agronomic practices. They will equally play the role of spraying and so on where necessary, pruning and stamping, and we will, after the project, we intend to see them sustain these skills and stay in the community as known people that are well skilled in this. We will provide them with some equipment that should be able to first kickstart, and then they later do this as a business. We intend to, of course, through our interventions on agroforestry, stamping, we think and we have a hope, we have an assumption that there is going to be increased yield. And so with the increased yield, we know that comes with increased income. So this is how we equally intend to contribute to Sustainable Development Goal 10. And we know with increased income, usually then the language that people speak when they have money equally changes. The language that the cocoa farmers are speaking today is not the language that It's very unfortunate that the vanilla farmers are a little bit disenfranchised now that they cannot speak the same language, but previously they were the ones speaking this language. So we know with increased income, with good market prices, usually more money comes in. Of course, we are also contributing to climate action through the sequestration of carbon and the 1.3 million metric tons of carbon. Then 15, of course, we know that the trees, the different tree species, we are planting up to 11 different tree species, of course 3 million trees, and then we will contribute to full farm autonomy. We are reducing soil erosion on this acreage of land, and then we are actually rehabilitating up to 5,000. This is inclusive of agroforestry and woodlot land. And generally speaking, this is what we again trying to do with our limited efforts and also with your efforts to contribute to sustainable development goals. I thank you very much for having me, good listeners, and I wish you a good stay and good exploration. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Lazarus. That's the project manager for the Rwenzori Yethu Project. And this is only a tip of the iceberg of the project. There's so much documentation in the background, and I know most of you may be having a lot of questions. For those of you catching us online, feel free to give feedback, ask questions in the comment section. We shall be glad to get back to you and give you responses in reference to that. I know you may have a number of questions and concerns, but allow us finish these presentations, then we shall have a Q&A session. So as the different speakers present, note down those concerns, note down those questions, so that when we get to the later question and answer session, you will be given an opportunity to ask or seek any clarity in reference to any of the questions that may be coming through. Now that Lazarus has taken us through the project, what the project is about. In project management, every single thing you do will require you to monitor, evaluate, and also report what you're doing. It would make no sense for us to sit, implement, and at the end of the day, we don't have what shows in terms of the work we've done. Tomorrow, the different districts will require reports. We are telling you we are going to plant trees, we are going to restore the environment. And what will be the evidence of that? I know that chairpersons from the different districts will be very interested in knowing on the progress of the project. The project manager told us it's a 20-year project. During these 20 years, how shall we know that we are progressing? What shall we use to show that there's progress, and where shall we learn from? So I'll just quickly, in a nutshell, take us through some of the tools that Rwenzori Yethu Project intends to use to monitor, evaluate, and report when it comes to this project. So as a project, we've highlighted key performance indicators. And these indicators are drawn from the fact that they are smart, they are specific, measurable, attainable, and time-bound. These help us to track progress as we go on. And these are put in 3 different aspects. Those that fall under the environment aspect, because we are restoring the environment. We had the project manager talking about things to do with livelihood, improving on the livelihood of the farmers through increasing cash crop production of coffee and cocoa. So we shall also have indicators tracking the economic progress of these households. We shall also have the social aspect. We are talking about female-headed households. We are talking about youth through the labor gangs. So we shall also have indicators that will track the progress in these different areas. And these are put in a logical framework that we shall provide to those of you that require, because these are huge documents that have so many indicators that we are tracking through the 20-year period. We shall also be evaluating the project over time at the 5th year, 15th year, 10th year, and the 20th year, where we shall do both carbon verification, but also on the 5th year we shall do a mid-term evaluation to see how far we've reached in terms of the outcomes that we set as a project. The 10th year we shall do an end-line evaluation for the project, but also on the 11th year we shall do an impact evaluation, because we want to see what level of impact has the Rwenzori Yethu project brought to the people of Kasese and Ntoroko. So, being a 20-year project, we know it's very important to keep in touch with the farmers, so we shall continuously monitor these farmers as we proceed. When we talk about reporting, we are required as an organization to report both to the investors, but also you, the stakeholders. I will require, as we go on, most of the stakeholders to always reach out to us to request for the progress that we have in terms of this project. So twice a year we shall be reporting annually, and then also at the end of the year the annual report to both livelihood and also the different stakeholders. But every month we shall be sharing progress with the districts to see how far we've gone. Because it's a huge project, talking about land, planting trees, we shall also involve technology. So we are going to have a management information system already designed and a data collection app together with our partners from UNIC that have supported us to design this. These will help us to collect data, process it, store it, so that it can be used for future references, but also disseminate it to the different areas. This information will also support the project and also the organization to make decisions. Some of the things that the mobile app will be collecting or tracking, we shall have farmer data, because we need to know the farmers we are working with, the plots of land in terms of the acreage, the linear meters for the boundary. We are going to do occasionally trainings with the farmers, but we need to know who has attended these trainings, the trees we are going to plant. We are interested in knowing the survival rate. So these are some of the things we shall do. So in a nutshell, if you look at what we intend to change through a roadmap for the project, we solve the problems we know in the community, problems like climate change, reduction in cash crop production, and so on and so forth. So as a project, we design strategies that some of them the project manager has taken us through, and through that we have set activities, and currently we are doing farmer registration, and after that we shall be doing farmer training, and then later distribute trees to these farmers. And after we distribute these trees, we hope to realize change in the community through restoring the environment, increased production in cash crops, but also building the capacities of the farmers in terms through the training that we shall give them. And overall, at the end of the day, we hope we should have enhanced the climate within our region, but also improve the livelihood of the farmers. So in a nutshell, those are some of the things that, or tools, we shall use to track the Rwenzori Yethu project. Without wasting time, allow me welcome the director, who's going to take us through what we call safeguarding principles, because we know we have to remain within the guidelines that gold standard are set for us, but also the LC3 fund. So allow me welcome the director to take us through these safeguarding principles. Thank you.
Thank you, John, for the good presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to share quickly about the safeguards. Remember, this is a project that must fit into the internationally established standards and principles. So, safeguards are basically there to help the project to identify, prevent and mitigate negative consequences that may arise from the given intervention. So as we do our interventions in the community, yes, there's a likelihood that certain things may be of negative impact to the people or to the environment, and so safeguards are here to do the mitigation part. So like he said, the standards and the donors have these principles in place, and we have to ensure that we fit in. These safeguards are classified. The first category is, of course, looking at the social perspective, where we look at the human rights, where we look at gender equity and women's rights, we look at community health, safety and working conditions. Here we look at cultural heritage, we look at indigenous peoples, and of course displacement and resettlement. The last segment of the social safeguards is looking at corruption. So the next category is the economic principles, which look at the economic impact of the project, looks at the climate and energy, and then water. Regarding the environment and the ecological aspects, we look at, of course, issues to do with land use, issues to do with the ecology. And so, basically, we as a project have taken care of this. We have already put in place a system to track and, of course, look at environmental and social management systems, so that whatever is expected of us in that line is taken good care of. Of course, we have put in place arrangements to ensure that child labor is not part of any of our activities. Not only child labor, but also forced labor. Nobody should be forced to work in the project whatsoever. We have put in place, of course, provisions to ensure occupational health and safety, not only from our side, but also on the side of the suppliers. We continue to look at community health and safety. That is to do with provisions of ensuring that activities do not cause a negative impact on the health and safety of people, whether we work with them or not, but as long as they are within the area where we are operating. So, during the process of designing this project, we did an assessment to ascertain what would be the risks relating to our work in regard to the principles we have just discussed. So this table is showing what were the findings of the assessment and what is it that we have put in place to ensure that we deal with any weaknesses or any risks identified during the assessment. First of all, we did not have in place a policy to do with environmental and social governance at organizational level, which is of course critical to provide a standard and of course a point of reference for our operations in this regard. In relation to this, we have already put in place a policy, so it is guiding our team. It was clear that there wasn't sufficient environmental health and safety risk management procedures defined, and so in relation to this, we have already defined these procedures. It is now clear how we can mitigate and maybe how to respond in case there is a risk materializing. We were not having, of course, sufficient stakeholder engagement and consultation, much as we had already engaged communities from the very initial stage of the project, but we still needed to do more engagements. And through the different areas, we have ensured that we work on our engagement capacity. We have put in place the necessary documents and plans to facilitate this process of meaningful stakeholder engagement. And of course, this is part of the process. This meeting is part of that process that is feeding into the plan that we put in place to ensure that, yes, we are moving in the right direction. Things to do with the grievance mechanism were still lacking by the time we did the assessment, and so we have defined clear grievance management procedures. It is now clear also for the report to grievance and what procedures or what different steps should be taken to ensure that it's managed to logical conclusion. Of course, we had an issue identified in regard to insufficient environmental safety and health rights. So we have, of course, put in place a plan to deal with this, and this is a continuous process. We are already implementing part of the plan. We have the necessary tools, but this will continue all through the project cycle. Of course, it was realized that given the setting of the community that we are targeting, it appears normal for children to be involved in the economic activities, but internationally this is not acceptable, and so in some of the free nurseries that were assessed, specifically the neighborhoods we worked with, it was visible that children would sometimes come with parents to work in the nursery, and as they come with the parents, they are also exposed to some risks. So we have put in place systems to ensure that this is mitigated. One of the tools we have put in place is, of course, code of conduct or supplier code of conduct, to ensure that they make a commitment before we give them the money. They make a commitment that they will not use children in the nursery, but not only the nursery, but also in any economic activity and expose them to child labor. Of course, I expect that most of us understand the definition of child labor, so we have put in place this arrangement. Our suppliers have signed, and we are monitoring their compliance continuously. We understand that our operation areas major the mountainous and many roads are in poor condition. This poses, of course, a road safety risk to the staff. So, as an organization, we have put in place arrangements. We are already implementing. We ensure that all our staff are covered with safety gear whenever they are at work. When they are going with motorcycles or vehicles, they should have safety gear. But not only that, we have also put in place insurance scheme to ensure that if a risk finally materializes, yes, the impact of this particular employee is minimized. As we have, of course, adopted many of the ESG tools that LCF3 has put in place. LCF3 is, of course, at the international level and complies with so many of the international provisions. So within the framework of this contract, we have adopted many of these. Yes, of course, you are aware that many of our production units are invaded with either diseases or pests that sometimes are managed with the fungicides or pesticides or anything that is taken of importance in the light of managing pests and diseases. Of course, we as an organization and as a project will not promote the use of chemical fungicides. We think and believe we want a commitment that where we have an alternative that is, of course, organic, this is what we will promote, the management. And within the supply chain, of course, providing sensitive care is one, but of course, we need to monitor the application, the use of this sensitive care to ensure that people working in the supply chain are not exposed to health risks as a result of. Yeah, we also realized that are commonly used in many places. I think this is related to the one I just finished. We also realized that there is a high potential for the occurrence of emergency situations. We know that Rwenzori is highly mountainous and it is prone to landslides, mudslides, but of course the downstream communities are exposed to the risk of floods. Like the chairman in the district said, Kasese is already in a flood last night. Yes, we are already aware of this, but during the project design initially, we have adopted critical interventions or put in place an emergency response plan. And as part of the implementation of this plan, recently the mountain areas were affected by landslides, which of course claimed some lives, and many people were left in the IDPs. We have, with our funding partners, we are going to reconstruct the bridge at this way. As I speak now, the community is collecting stones and sand, and our team is on the ground right now to oversee this process. Next week, construction commences. We are also providing the emergency response to the people in IDPs within the sub-counties of Chocho, Chalumba, and River, specifically, not everywhere, to address issues to do with the water, sanitation, and hygiene. So, yes, we are doing emergency procurement for this, and within the weekend, deliveries will be done. So, all this is to show that, yes, the ESG assessments we did has informed us, and we are already taking strides to implement the plans that were put in place in consideration of the findings. So we are a learning organization and we continue to learn. We expect you to also give us feedback, so we will learn. The way we are implementing this, trust us, we will take care of your contributions. Otherwise, I thank you, and I want to hand over to the next presenter.
Thank you so much, for that elaborate discussion on guiding principles. And we see that the project is being deliberate in staying within the designated principles to see that we don't go outside what is not required of us. One of the things you mentioned that we are implementing is stakeholder engagement, and this is one of the things that we put into consideration. Having meaningful engagements with stakeholders is something that is very, very important for us, and this will not be the last time you see our faces. We shall continuously meet to see how we can work together to see that we improve the project. Just a sneak peek of some of the stakeholders that we work with. The Ministry of Water and Environment, being the ministry that oversees environment-related activities, is one of our major stakeholders. The people we work with in our communities, the districts, sub-counties, the villages, and other organizations dealing in the same project. We invited our partners in, for lack of a better word, crime, organizations like Eco Trust in Kasese, in Ntoroko. We are aware of common ground, and it's very important for us to always work together with them so that we avoid things like duplication of work, where we both work in the same areas or the same farmers. So however other people may look at them as competitors, for us we look at them as stakeholders and partners, and all our stakeholder engagements, we make sure that we invite them, but also we learn from one another. We show them our progress, our scope, and they also do the same. We also work with other private people that will be just providing us with seedlings, is Beneco, and last but not least, work with the government. That's why most of you are here to represent the government. And like I said, my work is to monitor and evaluate the project, and everything that director and the manager tell you, we've also put in place tools or requirements to see that we document everything we do, so that when at one point it's required of us to present it. So one of the things that we are very deliberate is we have a stakeholder register. This helps us to track all that we have. This mainly categorizes the type of stakeholder, the name, the contact areas, and how either they influence the project or affect the project. So for you to qualify to be a stakeholder of the Rwenzori Yethu Project, it only means that you're going to contribute, and that is why out of the so many people, you are one of the people that have been invited here, because you either have an influence or you one way or another affect this project, either in a positive or negative way. So we have made sure that we have in place tools to continuously track. This is very important for us as a project because we continuously learn from whatever we do. The other thing that the director talked about that is very important for us to know is we have put in place a gender action plan, because the manager highlighted of how we are being very intentional to make sure that the women are not left out. So as an organization, we have a gender action plan. This simply details how Rwenzori Yethu Project will promote the and men with equal access to opportunities, resources, and benefits, because quite often we see women, youth being left out in most of our projects. So we are trying to be very deliberate to see that the women in the communities also benefit from our project. And that said, part of our gender action plan, the animation of access to resources, we have highlighted that female-headed households are going to be given, for lack of a better word, a privilege where we set a percentage of at least 20% of the people who reach out should be female-headed households. This is us being very intentional to make sure that we don't leave out our women, you know. And earlier on when I was talking about indicators, tomorrow when the chairman Kasese asks me that I talked about supporting female-headed households, what will show? We've also designated indicators where we shall track the percentage of female-headed households that we register, support either financially or through the accounts. That is one way to show that we are being very deliberate. Access to finance, the female-headed households will receive financial support, which the men will not receive. This is another way we are seeing we are being responsive towards supporting the female-headed households. And we have set aside a designated 70,000 euros directly to support female-headed households and the activities that we shall be doing. When we talk about labor and time, we know women taking care of the households, looking for firewood, and so on and so forth. So the project also has been very intentional to reduce what we call drudgery, where we know occasionally part of the trees we shall plant will be pruned to see that we provide things like firewood to the household so that women don't need to move longer distances to get firewood. And we're also being very intentional when we come to gender norms to see that how are we going to be responsive. CODEA will make sure that 30% of the project positions are filled by women, because we are not only looking at beneficiaries, but also staff. When the project manager was talking about how the project is going to create employment, we are also being very intentional to see a minimum of 30% of the employees being women, because we don't want to leave them out. And as we talk with, in terms of the community facilitators, the staff that we have, we've been very deliberate to see that we put this into consideration. And like I said, I also set an indicator for it where at the end of the day, I will present to the stakeholders the percentage of, the women that we've either employed or those that are part of the Rwenzori Yethu Project. And last but not least, because we know we are going to be training our beneficiaries, we shall also put emphasis on women. We have some of our lead farmers here representing the rest, but we're also very intentional that we had part of our communities having women as the lead farmers, because they will be responsible to train and lead the rest of the farmers, and this also builds a leadership aspect for the women. And that's just a way that we are being very intentional through our agenda action plan to see that we support the women. We proceed. The project also conducted a risk assessment, and from the risk assessment, we highlighted some of the main risk factors. One being organizational risks, where, for example, one talked about employing women. In case we see that we are not employing women, this would bring issues within the community that we are not being gender active. We're also looking at risks like not employing qualified staff, because we need to see that we employ people that are qualified. This project has a huge funding, so we also did a risk assessment that clearly set out some of the financial and economic risks. These presentations are just highlighting what is in place, but all these documentations are in place. For those of you that are very interested in reading in detail what some of these, we shall provide them. We've also looked into the project model risks. For example, when we were conducting our stakeholder engagements, our model was we had different species of trees for different technical systems, but from the engagements we had, we saw that a tree species like Riveria wasn't welcome in some areas, and therefore as a project we were deliberate to make some of those changes. This is just a sample of how the risk analysis we did is just a snapshot, but it's an entire document that highlights all the different risks that we assessed as a project. The director also hinted on incidences and emergencies, and as a project, we also put things into consideration to see that we try to attend to these incidences, and we have an incident reporting register in place. We know an incident typically refers to an unexpected event or an occurrence. For example, we are having landslides and increased water levels in Kasese. These are all unexpected, and therefore, as a project, we are very deliberate to see that we attend to some of these. We've categorized them in a way where we know some are major incidences, which we attend to as soon as possible. Then there are some that are very significant, which are not so minor, but we give ourselves about 5 working days to see that we attend to them. And then we have major instances like the current landslides that we are having. These we attend to them as soon as possible, and we try to involve ourselves to see that we support the community. And like I said, we have tools in place to see that we monitor all the different incidences that happen, and this is a sample of how our incident register looks like. We look out for, we give unique identifiers for the cases that we receive when these happened, which location, the details of the incident. We look at the name and the details of the people that probably bring this in. We categorize them in which stakeholder category they fall in. We also see the severity of the incident, whether it's major, or it's not major, significant or minor. And we go on and investigate to see how we can support. As I conclude, one of the incidences that currently as a project we've tried to be a part of is what the director hinted on. We know a few days that we saw landslides happening in Kasese, and the daily monitor highlighted that we had about 13 lives that were claimed by the mudslides, though we know that there could be more. And like the chairman highlighted that many people have been displaced as IDPs. But as a project, through our funders, we were able to secure some fund, about 25,000 euros, to support in this incident. And like the director hinted on, our team is currently in Kasese to see how we can support. So you see that beyond achieving our targets, beyond reaching out to beneficiaries, beyond seeing that the project is a success, we are also intentional to see that the communities we serve thrive. Because without the communities, there is no project. Without the beneficiaries, there is no project. Without the stakeholders, there is no project. So we are being very intentional, and these are some of the recommendations that came out from to receiving grievances and feedback from the community and stakeholders. A grievance is simply an expression of dissatisfaction made by an individual, a group of people, an entity in worry of the relation to the project's implementation, management, activities that result or may result into real or perceived negative effects to the environment and social aspects. So as a project, we're also being very intentional to set up ways how we can, one, receive these grievances and what are the means of expressing. You can send to us grievances either through written or verbal. All our different team members that are in the community can receive these grievances. However, we've designated specific areas for people to receive these grievances. So you can write to us either through email. We are going to set up suggestion boxes in the different areas of the communities, phones where we're going to set up we're going to set up a designated phone number to receive these grievances, and so on and so forth. Please note that the project assures all stakeholders that the grievances will be handled confidentially. Some of us may have grievances that we don't want to bring out to the rest of our community. We shall handle it with ultimate confidentiality to make sure the person is not exposed. These are some of the means we put across. The manager of the project will be responsible to receive, but also we've designated the communications person to be responsible to oversee the grievances that come through. If the grievances directly about those two, you can reach out to me and reach out to the director and any other member of our team, because we want to see that we are very transparent, open, and we work together. We also set aside an email designated to receive these grievances or feedback from the community. We shall continuously do awareness for the communities to know that we are receiving grievances through our community meetings. We shall see that we document and publish most of the things on our website, on our vehicles and different areas, but also on our website. Grievances are also tracked, and this is a sample of our grievance register, showing the grievance number, when it was received, the means, who's complaining, which stakeholder category they fall in. We shall go ahead and investigate and later on give feedback to see and also seek whether the grievance has been addressed or not. So in conclusion, those are some of the tools we put in place to make sure that we track, but also we are very intentional to see that we yield a positive outcome when we are implementing this project. I know we've talked a lot, but we are coming to the end of our presentation, and our next session is going to be a Q&A session, where I'm pretty sure for the past 2-3 hours we've been presenting. You've had questions, concerns, you have things you need to seek clarity over, and you'll be given an opportunity. For those that are watching us online, feel free to use the comment section, the chat section, to please ask your questions, share your concerns, and we shall be glad to see that we attend to those that we can, and also give make the time and when we can attend to those that we are not able to attend to. So I will, we shall use both means. For those that would like to ask questions, you can put up your hand and a microphone will be given to you. But also you can write to us on paper and then send, and we see how we address some of these questions. And I just want to remind us, you are given feedback forms, and I hope that in those feedback forms you have feedback that you have for us. My team will be glad to attend to some of these questions and clarity.
Thank you so much. My name is once again, I'm Jody Kateba Maska.
Oh, just a second. It's very important when you're giving any feedback or question, you tell us your name, your position, and then you can ask a question. It's very important for us to know so that we can address that. Jonathan, you kindly help me note those that will be asking. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Jody Kateba Maska, Deputy Speaker, Kasese District. I want to thank you so much for the interventions you have put in place to ensure that we conserve our nature and see what causes the climate change. I would term this project as JJ, Jonathan, and Jonah. What a coincidence. I want to thank the presenters for the different presentations, and I have the following observations and questions. You have put interventions to identify tree species in different areas. My concern is on the boundary trees. You're aware that our Rwenzori, we have our traditional tree species, the bark tree. And when I looked at the species that were identified, I didn't see the bark tree. And traditionally, when a bark tree is on the boundary, it really acts as a security for that land. And you're aware that our land is being wrapped in the Rwenzoris. But when we have such trees, we can secure our land. I don't know whether it was an oversight or you left it intentionally. Two, I want to thank you for having seen and put interventions after seeing that Nyamamba was really becoming a problem to our communities and the recent landslides that we had. What the interventions you're putting in place is just temporary. As we are conserving the environment and our soils, we conserve the soils which is there, but Nyamamba is taking everything. So I would request you to convince our donors and you put the intervention of desilting River Nyamamba. Because the current occurrences that occurred last night, it is that Nyamamba is trying to shift again from its from the bank, the valley. It is going to other. It is channeling itself. So if we distilled it, I think this one would create a permanent solution. More to that, you have been to other districts like Kabale when they have conserved their soils. I don't know whether I'm using the right word. I am not an agriculturist. I'm just a farmer. You see the terraces. You see the terraces on the mountains of Kabale. Yes. And to us here in Kasese and Ntoroko, because we share the same, our soils are being taken because we have not managed to conserve our soils in the mountains. So if we can put this measure, you showed us how you're going to have these trenches but you have not talked about the terraces on our mountains. Because you can see Nyamamba, when it gets flooded, it erodes the soils in the mountains. So if we can try to protect our soils from being eroded, maybe we can have our soils conserved. I want to talk again, ask about the organic method that we're going to use on fertilizers. You're aware in Uganda today, when we talk about production, we talk about soil and boosting these soils. But I don't know which method you're going to use when you're producing coffee and you apply organic fertilizers and cocoa. I am a farmer of coffee and cocoa. It is being attacked by pests and diseases. And the rate at which the coffee is attacked, I am not sure whether this organic method can solve this situation. I am happy that you are tackling the issue of gender. You have assured us that you're going to support the female households. You're going to recruit more women to our staff. But you're aware that Kasese, we are faced with domestic violence. And this one happens when the other side is empowered. When you empower us, the women, these men are going to insert force on us. And you have not put a provision of how you're going to handle the issue of domestic violence. Because we are going to plant our trees, we are going to plant our coffee, we are going to plant our cocoa, which is a long-term project. But these men are going to chase us from these projects that we shall have put in place. What is the security that you're putting for us, the women, to ensure that we have this? And culturally, women do not plant coffee. Women do not plant these trees. Women do not own land. The succession of the culture. Belief. Women do not own land. We are not successors. Likewise, that people with disabilities, they are looked at as a curse. When you produce someone who is disabled, it means you have brought a curse to the family. So what measures are you putting in place to sensitize people versus culture? Women to own land, women to start to be successors, and people with disabilities. Because really this one is hampering us so much. Lastly, previously on the Rwenzoris, we used to plant passion fruits, and it was our cash crop. So when you put boundary trees, I presume you are putting them near Mount Rwenzori National Park, and it is best place where we can have these passion fruits. So I would request that as we are doing agroforestry, we talked about mangoes, you also look at the aspect of having these passion fruits grown versus those trees. You have not talked about HIV. We have
vulnerable for those questions. I will take two questions from two people first. Then we try to address some of those, and then give an opportunity to the rest. So, Chairman, you can ask, then and address those others coming. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Once again, my name is Hamda Oya, the District Vice Chairperson Kasese, and the security production, marketing, and natural resources. I want to thank for the presentations, but I have just to add on what the speakers highlighted. I have about 3 observations. One, I want to thank the one who presented the highlights on monitoring and evaluation, because here it would help us to assess ourselves on whether we are moving forward to the reports. In my view, this will not really just work on reports, because we need to move the fork. I would request in this that multi-sectoral monitoring for all stakeholders to see what is happening and also appreciate, not only appreciating, but also try to sensitize the communities. I believe these are the leaders currently at this national stakeholders engagement. They're the same people who can at least talk to these community members, possibly they are beneficiaries on such interventions. That is one. The other one I saw with these 3 species, we are alternating, of course, shedding off for firewood, but that is a long term. By the time the trees would have this in the shade, you want to shed off for firewood, it is about a year or 2, possibly. Now, my question has been, what happens within now that period? I would suggest that possibly we could look for an alternative, not only focusing on firewood, but only to have maybe or think about the energy stores. Yeah, it was coming out, but I thought one way of empowering women, I've heard from the speaker, she's able to say it, how much to bring the issue of gender-based, but one way of really empowering these women is also having another alternative source of livelihood, vis-a-vis reducing the usage of firewood for another alternative that we are also focusing at that. The other issue is the terms of operation with our farmers and the beneficiaries. I see we have a big number of beneficiaries who are going to, and the smallholder farmers, but the people have a clear terms of operation. By the time we engage them to start, maybe now we have said to them, they are going to work with us, with the project, and we have a clear guideline on how we're going to be working for. Because this project is about 20 years, we need to see the outcomes. So if we don't have that clear terms, I suspect that in a big way we have challenges. Then lastly, this is just appreciation because my biggest question was on the emergency response plan. I'm happy you already have this, and I believe in the course of our project, many things will arise. So it is very good that we have this, that whatever comes, we should be in position to handle partly, because we will not be in position to handle the whole what we can. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hassan, for these questions. I will give the manager to handle some of them, and as the team tries to handle the rest. And then
we could agree, because this is an engagement. I think you gave us the chance to speak much longer.
But maybe we take all the questions.
So we need to really equally agree with you. Should we respond or we rather get all the concerns by consensus? Yes, all. We get all. Okay, fine. So I think let's get all, and then we will come back with questions. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Let me hear from him, then I come to you, Dr. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is once again is Yona from Livelihoods, Uganda. First of all, I need to commend CODEA for the great work done, and also thank the funder for really this support. It is really a very good initiative for both the government and communities actually around the areas that is very affected by climate change. Mine just, okay, it was already been hinted on, but just to supplement, yeah, of course, when you look at growing trees, restoration, for carbon sequestration, there's quite a number of things involved. One was energy that was mentioned. I was wondering, of course, it's not only energy, but I was thinking that why don't we also look at the utilization in general at the end, because we see that a project that goes for 20 years, which means there are other phases of utilization of this wood or of the trees that will come out. Currently, we are aware that materials for wood is on high demand, and of course for several uses, energy, construction, and whatever, and timber, as you are aware. So, what measures have we put in place to see that these are regulated so that the purpose of carbon sequestration is well catered for or captured? Are we looking into efficient harvesting and utilization of wood, of timber? Are we looking at wood conversion interventions that will come, which are not wasteful? Because if we also focus on growing and we are not looking at efficient utilization, the entire value chain at the end, then we might reach at the point and we miss it out, given also the rapid population growth and the demand that is also coming out. Then how are we also looking at green jobs for the youth, opportunities for the youth? We know youth are one of the categories of people who are really hungry for survival, for money, for jobs. Shall we not reach at a certain point and we see that some of the agreements that maybe we have made with communities are somehow not taken into consideration because of the demand for these opportunities, jobs for the youth that is coming up, cutting timber to sell money at a mature stage. So these are some of the things which I just wanted to highlight. And maybe another thing, how are we going to be measuring carbon at these stages, monitoring carbon? So I will make some more lines on this. Because WWF we have been using a similar, we have a similar project actually, but here we are looking at natural forests, carbon sequestration natural forests, targeting 1 million tons of carbon, also a project of 20 years. But here, of course, it has been a little bit challenging to measure carbon. So we need to know how you are for that as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Those very full comments. Like we've agreed, let's receive them. We are noting them and highlighting them. But I also want to implore us to take the chairperson's approach. Some of you are experts. As you ask questions, you can give possible suggestions or solutions. Because for every question we had a possible suggestion or conclusion. So we'd like to have you do that expertise. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Dr. Patrick, District Production Officer, Ntoroko. I don't have many questions are said, but I want to make a comment. First, species you put here. I don't know whether you also had help for farmers to come up with those species. And yes, if we did. Now, I saw avocado as one of the species for boundary planting or agroforestry. Boundary. Yes, I wanted to get to know whether what kind of avocado species is avocado variety. Because right now, my farmers I need for hash avocado. Is the hash avocado qualifying of the boundary list, such that I take the good news that please prepare when we begin on for the lead farmer school recruitment, they will have a good deal with the hash avocado. Thank you. Now, there is another thing with this is administrative, but I can see that this platform. I remember Director Juna coming for agreements with the district. Yes, but I forgot because we were supposed also to register you, because I saw your register for stakeholders. Yes, we also register organizations like your type with our district. We also need an inventory that CODEA plan do this. So if we have not done this, I want to take it upon as my responsibility, share with you my form, and then register. I can do this with Lazarus? Yes. Okay. So we will agree on how to do this. No, formally we have a form. You declare what you are doing, who you are. And the two, there's a missing link. I think you have gone step many things I missed because the farmer was telling me many things. He did do some trainings and all of that with farmers. If you have gone on some activities inside Ntoroko and not know, then I think maybe I need the eco-coordinator. You call them what the project officers who are working with farmers. Then I need, my structure, the extension staff. Maybe I need the staff who will directly keep reporting on these activities. The actual for today is joining this branch only, or maybe those VRA tools to your land methods of coming up with what you want. Then I can also able to present what you are doing, because I may be teaching you are doing so much, but the leadership and we are not taking we report to my youth, we report. Generally, we have a channel where we report. And when we don't show what you are doing well, it is really cheating on what you offer. That's a big service. So if that's the case, then I would suggest we get a coordinator of your activity, such that when you are setting out to come for an activity, then it is channel resolved that there will be this and that and that. So you could have, because now you remember no Kalbuto and a small part there, things may be happening and I'm not knowing. Yeah, I would request that we get a coordinator and my office will be accommodating us on whatever you are doing. But when you make a communication, it comes through, I know every time we do something. So with these few requests for submit.
Thank you so much. Doctor, any other question? Okay.
Thank you. Dr. Center has read to my name. First of all, I want to thank all the presenters. and progress as well. Thanks a lot for me. I have about 4 comments. The first comment looks at the feasibility study results. You did mention and give the percentages of farmers interested. Those listed in tree planting, SLM, coffee, cocoa, firewood. But you didn't show us the percentage of farmers interested in trees and timber. I didn't see that. And I know that should also have been a good scale. 2, that I was also happy with the element of agroforestry, providing both shade and nitrogen fixation, which is okay, but still at this point it also includes the benefit of carbon fixation or carbon sequestration. Because in your presentation, I know the whole project is about carbon, but when you mentioned about agroforestry, you only emphasized shade and nitrogen fixing. I thought even at this point we should also include carbon sequestration, because in agroforestry trees fix carbon.
Nitrogen fixing is not sequestration.
Pardon?
Nitrogen fixing is part of sequestration of carbon. Because in the process of the...
Yeah, but you should emphasize, because the 2 elements are different here. Nitrogen is different from carbon. Unless the cells are changed.
We are taking note.
Then the other one is the whatever you're presenting, these will be eventually published documents. And when I looked at the way you spell the scientific names of trees, you don't understand this. When you miss one letter, it becomes a different thing. You look through the science of those trees, tree species. Otherwise, I was reading different species and I couldn't see them anywhere. So please get the scientist to get the correct spelling and how we write scientific names. Yes, the other concern that I have, because now you began the implementation, I have a concern that as you go deep in implementation, please, I know you might be having it, but maybe I'm emphasizing, do a lot of georeferencing, so that even somebody far away can trace it. Yes. So georeferencing is very important. If this is artificially planted, you refresh it, that I don't need to walk there, but I can sit in my office using the technology and see the progress and all the other parameters. Very important, please emphasize that as you do serious implementation when it comes to these timetables. Of course, I don't mean it refreshability, but some of these planning materials. The other question that I have was on the meal, the monitoring, evaluation, then learning. Yes, I did hear you make a mention of documenting the best practices, lessons, and challenge. You know, I've been participating in implementation projects for quite some time. But usually when it comes to file evaluation and reporting, people begin struggling to begin thinking of what were the lessons, what were the challenges. But the moment you pick this along the project implementation period, it becomes very easier. So, because I didn't hear that, I'm just appealing that you document these practices, challenges, whatever they are, as you go along the implementation. Because even now already you showed us in your presentation so far, what are the best practices that you are applying along the way? Because we already have the community meetings. Maybe you tell them and say, you know, during the engagement, maybe get with an issue. Maybe as we go into this identification, we already crafting MOUs. I want to see that coming out so that we don't be doing scratching and eventually the hair gets lost because you are trying to scratch the hair and it's supposed to remain there. I think as of now, I must say thank you
And actually, finally, I also have to thank you for incorporating some of the comments that have come up during the last stakeholder engagement meetings. Because I've been participating, Jonathan will agree with me right from design, I think. So I'm happy that you are very positive when it comes to operation of these comments and views. Thanks a lot. Most of my issue or comments, they don't need to maybe be defended or what. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I'm very happy to know that all, like you said, your comments are suggestions for improvement, and that's what we'd love to hear more, so that we see that we improve. And this only justifies the reason why we are having this stakeholder engagement. Thank you so much once again. Any other concern question? Anyone? You could just want to thank us. That's also okay. Because every speaker has concluded by thanking us. We'll give you that opportunity. Okay. So I think that's it from comments. We shall try addressing some of these.
Maybe a quick last couple of questions. Yes, I'm aware the different cultural institutions have been participating in this. And I would also have loved to find them at this national consultative workshop. It's my observation there. Just continue doing that. If you have a mission, next time, it may be the intro when you invited, strengthen the mobilization and invitation. Thank you.
Yes, I think generally speaking, this is the reason we have invited you. Our intention is not to defend, our intention is to listen. Our intention was to stimulate your thinking. Our intention was to tell you what we intend to do as early as now before we start to make so many mistakes. So we will go back and analyze this and rethink and see where your input fits, but also indeed to ensure that we have created the solutions to some of the suggestions that you're putting forward. I think first and foremost, I thank you again for having taken the time to leave your families and offices to come here to participate in this stakeholder event. On our side, this remains a success because all the information that we share with you there has been shared. We're expecting about 24 participants. We are glad that some of you have come. All the other participants that did not come have already communicated reasons as to why they did not come. But the good thing is that we have shared the invitation letter, we shared the technical summary of the meeting, but also we may share again the presentation that have been made. So we are still together in terms of understanding, we are still welcoming the process of receiving these kind of comments that we make today is going to take us another 30 days. So you're still welcome to make more comments 30 days continuously from now. And so go back home, consult, think through, imagine, bring all these on board. We will still appreciate that you send them either by, you can call, you can send a text message, you can send an email, you can go to our website. You can even, for especially the lead farmers, you could still write a cheat. We will still be welcoming because all this will form part of this stakeholder engagement. So the engagement with the stakeholders is going to continue for the next other 30 days. So it's not ending today. This marks basically the beginning of receiving more of your feedback. So please continue. We encourage you to keep sending in this. For most of the comments that were here, the ones that came from Honorable Jolly, yes, about the back tree, indeed, during the feasibility study, this is something that came out. But then while we were analyzing the results, we realized that many people were cutting this very same tree. And this was the observation made. So we had the fear that if they are already cutting this tree down, and our intention is to have these trees last for at least being maintained for another 30 years, it was a little complicated for us to include it, because if the farmers were really appreciating the process, maybe they will not be disturbed. But probably we have also equally been wrong. But again, why we have proposed to distribute this, we are not limiting the farmers from planting trees of their own choice. So I think for me, for and as a project team leader, would be to say this has come up outside the project resources. We can still evaluate farmers for this on their own, because we are not limiting them for projects. But I think this is getting for us to say how many necessary it is, and once the meeting says we debated at the 100 says, how much do you want a bottle of beer? Okay, how is it to they know how it's run, and say, we encourage you. And I think for us, this is the comment. And this is the necessary we're going to say, this is the necessary we're going to incorporate in the next meeting. I think this is at the moment we don't have any answer, because it's not part of what we have proposed to do. We can only take it as a comment and we'll leave it at that, and we can only have it at CODEA level to discuss, to see if there can be possibilities, but at the moment we cannot respond to it. We should, I think,
maybe on this point,
yes,
the desalting, what we propose, what CODEA has proposed, is an emergency response to answer the immediate needs that are created by the disaster, while the desalting is rather a long or medium-term response. And on this, it's also the coordination between CODEA and the district, and you see what is required. So far, it was on emergency.
Okay, so I think we check this again with concern. It's a long-term thing, so we leave this again as a comment that we'll take and think through. For us at NGO level, at CODEA level, when people present challenges, we see opportunities, because finally this is how we generate solutions. Every other challenge is an opportunity for a solution, so we can carry these messages and carry them until we have someone willing to provide a solution. About terracing, again, I think this, we know terracing is highly capital intensive. The way probably someone read the history of how the one in Kabale was done, it's very clear. But again, I think we have a role to play. We take this as food for thought. The moment at project level, we are only able to bite what we do. I think it's still food for thought, because definitely I've seen the one that these terraces do, but everything would be at the cost. So we can only
addition to this, last week in Rwanda, we have started also a project. In Rwanda, Livelihoods has a memorandum of understanding
with the government of Rwanda, and the actions of the government. So the government is doing terracing, we are planting trees on the terracing. As I was mentioned, and as we are going to say it again, after the project cannot do every everything, and in Rwanda we are complementing government actions. Here, in the future, if there is any action like this that is taking place, we will be pleased to complement both.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. Of course, again, to put it that these are suggestions, we did have them, so these are again ideas for generation of new project proposals, and I think to us this still comes very, very important. Whether our organic interventions will really address the high prevalence of pests and diseases, I think from an agronomist perspective, I will say yes, the approach we are using is integrated pest management. So integrated pest management, we will need to first ascertain the level. There are levels of pest prevalence, there are levels of disease prevalence, where you say, I think we can culturally manage, we can use organic concoctions, we can use repellents, but when they exceed a certain threshold, then usually we advise that there is application of synthetic pesticides or chemicals, but must be deliberate to evaluate the extent. It must be organic. Usually, we will determine the threshold, and we have 3 agronomists. So we are basically 4 people on the team that can still keep providing advice based on evaluation.
In addition to this, the increase of the feasibility study, what we saw that the increase of pest and disease is also due because of the climate change, the increase of temperature. The higher the temperature, the higher the development of pests and disease. So first, the shade trees, as they are going to reduce the temperature below, it should have an impact on pests and disease. 2, good plants in good health are better resistant to the pest and disease. So the shade trees, and 66% of the shade trees are
fertility trees. So those fertility trees, they are going to help to support the development of the trees. More healthy plants will resist better to pest and disease. 3, the project also encompasses good agricultural practices that will increase the soil and water capacity retention of the soil. And as Lazarus proposed also, there are going to be some management of the cash crop. So such thing as stamping, pruning will definitely help in improving the phytosanitary status of the plantation. And as Lazarus said, in case of high prevalence of pest and disease, of course we know that this is but the project will promote also the proper use of chemical, the right doses, the use of material protection.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Again, basically, we are listening, we are taking this. Of course, I'm happy that our discussion is starting to stimulate these conversations. You had not known, and probably during the fact that we had very small time, we could not exhaust the presentations that we have put. Like some of the documents are 70 pages, but we try to compress it to ensure that at least some of the thoughts are put out, some of the thoughts we break into small bits, especially with the farmers. The next one was, how do we intend to handle issues with domestic violence? We have been deliberate, and I think I'm happy this question is coming. There is a picture we flashed here where Jonathan and I think Sabot we were in Isule. This case again came out. One of the farmers raised the concern that you are going to give the tree seedlings to my wife. And then my wife will say, these are my trees. And I will say, on whose land? So since then, we have taken an extra eye. I have personally taken a deliberate effort to speak to the community facilitators to ensure that they take into consideration all these conversations. Our intention is to promote trees
Our intention is not to promote violence in the homes. Whoever takes the trees should know that the trees are for the household. And this is the reason partly why we are also encouraging the household approach. It's the same reason we are encouraging the household approach, because we know it's a matter of time. Father who owns the land, whom we have signed an agreement with, will be gone. Mother is going to stay. It's very unfortunate that I'm saying this. It's normal, and it has been known, statistically known worldwide, that the lifespan for women is quite longer for the men. This is something we will not dispute. So yes, we are trying to use a household approach to ensure that we also understand the dynamics. And I have really, John will bear witness with me, I have personally had a conversation with the CFs to say we should equally appreciate the cultural norms. Sometimes we've seen situations where actually the head of the household after the father has died is the last born, who is just about maybe 6 years old, but because culturally, the last born, who is a male that has now finally been left by all means, now becomes the heir. So we have taken into consideration all these. So yes, again, let the messages keep coming.
Yeah, let me supplement on that.
Yes.
Yeah, we did not only learn of this possibility during the community meetings, we were already aware that this would happen. So in the initial stages of the project, we already provided for gender and entrepreneurship together head components. So we are looking at tree planting activities that will be complemented by secondary activities after the tree planting. But to ensure that this is successful, we are actually encouraging all members of the household to be part of the decision making. When somebody says we are planting trees, all household members are part. Two, we will give them the trainings to ensure that they appreciate the roles of each other in this whole process, so that, yes, we collectively own the trees, not father's trees, not mother's trees, but our trees. I think Honorable Jolie also asked something about land ownership on the side of women. Yeah, shows like women don't own land. Partly I agree with you, but also I think to some extent I may disagree with you. We realize some women have land. From the feasibility study, we understood that at least 20% of the women have land. They are managing it as women. Either they inherited it or they bought it. Both situations exist in the community, and that's why we are taking care of these women as a special case. So we know they are there. But it is true that majority of the people who are still thinking in that original setting will not give their daughters part of the land to inherit. But I am glad with the several interventions of mindset change, this is gradually melting away. Men are beginning to recognize the role of women in development and the issues of rights of women. Yes, I think people with disabilities, yes, some people with disabilities have land, not so. Yes, some people with disabilities have land, but we understand that they have some limitations, maybe when it comes to labor. If somebody is surely very impaired physically, so that they cannot dig very well, that can be a limitation. Otherwise, some people with disabilities are men, they are equally men like me, they have women and children, so we will not exclude someone because they are disabled. No. We will ensure that they have all the rights to join the project like any other participant, but of course we look at these differences and therefore take care of the equitable access. Thank you. I don't know if I should respond to all the ones I captured, so that Lazarus will not consider them again. Good. So, Honorable Ham was asking about MOUs with farmers. This is well taken care of. We have identified farmers who are interested. But before we go into real implementation with them, we will read the MOU with them and they sign, so that we confirm them as farmers recruited for the project. Yeah, Honorable Ham talked about non-sectoral monitoring. Yes, this is well taken care of, although not every month, but we have a provision of ensuring that we monitor with the local government, and we have provided for the involvement of the extension workers of the local government at sub-county level. So we are already working with them. Actually, they have already participated, not so. In the field activities, extension workers have already been involved, and they continue to be involved. This already speaks to what Dr. Magonza raised. When we were in Ntoroko, they suggested we needed one of the local government workers to coordinate with us, and they gave us the name of Livelihoods, who is the agriculture officer of Karukuta. So in the meeting we were with you, and so I hope he's already being
Actually, one of the pictures I flashed here, he was there. You saw him? Yes, yes.
Yeah, but not only him, but also other extension workers in the sub-counties should be involved, so that local government is not disconnected from us. So I think it is the reporting gap between you, their boss, and the lower local government guys that we work with. So we will try to improve on this, ensuring that they still report to you. The idea of including cook stores, this is something we thought about, and we already had ideas, because like I showed you originally, CODEA has distributed cook stops around 2013, 14, 15 with WWF. Yeah, but a project cannot be one-stop center. It has limitations. So as we grow the trees, at CODEA we will continue to mobilize more funding to take care of these other complementary interventions. Otherwise, for this project methodology, it is focusing more into the tree growing and farm activities. So we continue to engage to ensure that, yes, this question of energy is taken care of. Then Mr. Yona is saying, no, in the energy technologies is not enough. Sorry? Can we look at other efficient uses of wood? Yes, this is something we had proposed with Jonathan in our original documentation, but we encountered limitations, especially to do with the budget. But we already have good ideas tailored towards this, so that it contributes to green jobs. Yes, we still keep the ideas, we are mobilizing funding towards these secondary activities. It is very brilliant, and we will continue to work with you. I know you had a project on sustainable wood. You are very resourceful in this. We can still engage and get more ideas from you in that line. So, yeah, we have established an approach to do with labor grants. We know that some youth do not own land, but this project comes with an opportunity for them. Already our guys on the ground are mobilizing young people who are not employed, yet they are energetic and are willing to work. They will support the farmers on bush clearing and establishing of walls and the planting processes. We will give them the trainings, we will give them the equipment, then we will give them work to do and pay them based on achievement. So this is already an opportunity created, but we continue to look at other possibilities. Like Honorable Jolly was suggesting, passion fruit production. This is something I had never thought of, but I'm already thinking of how it can work with the mixed woodlot system. Is this something that can be integrated? We will consult our agronomists to look at the possibility. I think this is one other point we can take care of. Mr. Yona was asking about how to measure the carbon. I think Jonathan is well placed to answer this, but in a nutshell, we either not do the measurement, but we are working with a consulting firm which Livelihoods has hired and is providing support in this line. So there is a methodology already put in place by Gold Standard, but we have a consultant now to help us, take the different steps towards ensuring that we have the carbon we need. So these processes have already been taken care of in project design so that we can already project what we want to achieve. But continuously we work with this consulting firm to measure our progress towards this. So we will collect the data, they will use the data to analyze and give us, the status continuously. Dr. Magonza highlighted something about registering CODEA at Ntoroko. I realize this is something I need to clarify very well. The NGO Act of 2016 provides that every NGO must be incorporated as a company limited by guarantee, and upon that incorporation, the NGO Bureau, which is in the Ministry of Internal Affairs, will give you the operational permit, which allows us to operate countrywide. And upon fulfilling this requirement, the NGO is supposed to sign an MOU with every district local government where they operate. At that level, it is not registration, but it is MOU because we are already registered at national level. And we have already met this requirement. Dr. Ogoza, I'm glad you will test the signature event. So, Doctor, we are in good books. Yes. Yeah, so maybe if there is additional data profiling that you need from us, Lazarus will take care of that so that it is very clear. Otherwise, regarding the law, we are good to go.
Maybe I can use clarity. However, it's not a legal process. Okay. It's a requirement of my youth. Oh. And they provided the forms to us. Oh. That that what we are doing is contributing systematically to what we do.
So that is good. Lazarus will handle that very well. I'm glad it is not a legal requirement, but coordination issue. Good. So I think basically this is what I was able to capture for now. For now, all cultural institutions. This is a good comment. We have been with them in the district level engagements. We have taken care of their contributions and we continue to engage with them. Actually, I'm happy the king of Rwenzori is likely to be one of our farmers in Kasese. Yes, his agent has already expressed interest and we will take care of that. So we already in books. Okay. Thank you very much. I think Lazarus can continue with the remaining points and maybe any other member of our team. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Director. However much these answers are being answered, we're also taking your suggestions into consideration.
Okay, so I think I'm just going to... Others are just suggestions, like HIV. At the moment we cannot, but we will only listen and take the concern.
We don't just listen. HIV, one of the things we can do with the HIV, ladies and gentlemen, we know that we have now meetings with farmers every now and again. The best thing we do is, of course, enhancing sensitization and then linkages. We know the service providers who do treatment, who do other services related to management of HIV/AIDS. We cannot be one stop shop, but we know. So during the meetings, we will enhance sensitization and then link the people who may need services. We link them to our partners who are providing these services. This is something we can't just listen, we will do something around that.
Yes, of course, definitely I wouldn't make a comment greater than what Jonan has made. I think all the concerns that Honorable Ham raised about, I think it's only the multi-sectoral. This we will still think through. At the moment, we have only put into consideration having meetings with extension workers on a monthly basis. But I think multi-sectoral monitoring and evaluation, this Jonathan will ably answer. The other concerns right now?
No, but there was one point of
yes.
Mr. Amula.
Yes.
You were saying that planting trees takes time.
Yeah.
You were saying 1 hour, 1 year, 2 years, it will even be more than 1 year, 2 years. In between, what will happen? In between, the project is going to support, as I was mentioning before, good agricultural practices that are soil and water conservation technique and cash crop management. This is definitely going to support the farmers the time that the trees are going to grow.
Thank you. All right, so I think the other concerns, for example, the ones from Yona, those have already been ably answered by Jonan. And then, yes, the only one that I think I have here is, quickly, I just need to make again a clarification about boundary planting. The boundary planting that we are talking about here is only on the farmer's land. It is not going to be on any privately owned land. No government land is going to benefit from this project. It's a requirement that we have put into our documents. We are only going to work with farmers, individual farmers only, and no publicly owned land. So we are not going to do any boundaries on, like, for example, Mount Rwenzori National Park, something, no. And actually, one of the requirements that we have to fulfill as this project is, and that has equally been catered for with our GPS recording georefracing that Doctor was referring to, is that after we have tracked the land, we have to zoom in to see if it's not in a game reserve or any public land. And once the land, actually we even ask right away. But if you deceive and then you finally take us there to map, we will still certainly see, and that plot immediately drops out of the system. So this, we are very deliberate and we are taking all efforts to ensure that we don't. About Dr. Patrick's the one who asked about the avocados. Yes, we are going to be doing grafting of local indigenous avocado stocks with scions. The top will be of the Hass, so that the avocados that are being produced are Hass avocados. And maybe the other concern that the doctor had raised was the lead farmers seemed to have more information than him. Yes, it is true, because the lead farmers are the ones that are taking a lot of the eyes. They are actually the first point extension workers. We had to invite them for a 2 days training, and all the information that actually we presented today, a bigger part of it, they know it. Actually, they would even present it maybe better than us.
That is the way to go.
Yes.
I believe that is the best model.
Yes.
For the lead farmers to get the actual, to be informed of all what is happening. I believe that is the way to go. Because me personally, I would have just some tip of what is happening, but my lead farmer from Maleba is supposed to have all the information of what he's supposed to be doing. That is the way to go. Actually, I want to appreciate. If that is happening, then we're in the project here, and I believe they have.
The lead farmer has something to say.
We know all these technical systems. We know the spacing. We do like the agroforestry, you know that is 12 by 12 meters. Then in the double system, we have to know it is 3 by 3. Then if it is double, you know how to space it, you can also do it, because you learn them practically. We know the thing, except that we need more, and you need to provide us some materials. Because they have learned add new things. If we could also be add like the monitoring and other issues. But otherwise, on ground, we are doing it. And we have started even registering farmers, mainly women. I have about now 4 who have registered and they have land. Their parents provided pieces of land to them. So it is not an issue that women don't have land. Otherwise, they have land. I have about 5 so far already registered and they have their land. And they have proof that the land is theirs. So there will not be much problem. No, they are not in their single. There others are widow, and then one of them is a widow, but others, their parents provided land to them. So there will not be much problem.
Okay, thank you. I think we have equally noted your concern. We are giving information in bits. The first one was actually introducing them. Now, before we do any activity with the farmers, let's say planting of trees, they will be trained. And then trained, actually, their land is the first demonstration plot. We demonstrate with them, they challenge us, then after that, they also now go and practice with the farmers. This is the approach. Of course, we cannot break all this in one day, in a few hours. Yes, Honorable.
Add on this,
yes.
I would request
yes.
that we also embark on the exchange visit. If you're working in Mariba and in possibly in Nyakyum, that is in Kasese, could we also embark on an exchange visit for us to have some field study? If something is happening in Mariba, possibly successful farmers, these other farmers would be taken to have a visit on this farm and they see what is happening. Possibly at the end of the day, we can borrow a leaf that would help us to have some other intervention. Possibly it goes to, for Ntoroko, if we have successful farmers in Kasese, you can take them to Kasese to see what is happening as one way of intensifying to see what would come out for this project.
Actually, we should even have successful stories. We should have successful stories documented from these women who have owned land. They should come and share with other women who are still inferior. Because we see very many women, they fear to buy land, they buy it in the names of their children, and who are males, they cannot even buy in the names of girl child. So if we have such a women from Ntoroko and somewhere else, they can come and share successful stories with the other women in Kasese district, so that we can have these inferiority complex cases eliminated. Thank you.
Wow, amazing. Thank you.
Yes, I think the last bit was just, I'm just doing the last response. Most of the concerns that came from Dr. Joseph were only a piece of guidance for us. The only concern that I think we have an answer about is this extraction from the feasibility study. Dr. Joseph, where I think this basically is showing those that were interested in timber, 89%, and then overall 74%. Those that were interested in planting trees for timber, 89%, and then for firewood was 74%. This is more of like what we had processed. So I think this equally, it's very unfortunate that we just said most. I think we were trying to limit space, but indeed there was an origin and a basis for us to write. So about the writing of the scientific name, this we have taken. Georephrasing, this we are already doing, and definitely at an opportune time we will equally show you. There is information that we are receiving, but basically we are using GPS tracking. For plots, we are not doing it at tree level. At the moment, we are doing it because this is I think the best we can do for now, given the resources. So we are doing it at farm level. We get a GPS location, and then we are also getting a polygon for the farm, and agroforestry and woodlot. For boundary planting, we do a line georeferencing, again GPS, so you can visibly see. And I think basically this is all about documentation of the best practices, lessons and challenges. This is already planned for, but I think the most important thing is again for us to take it serious and share. Ale, yes? Okay. John, I think you've heard what the stakeholders are asking for. Otherwise, from my side, I appreciate that at least what we shared with you today is still continuing to be refined and refined and refined by your input. We have taken all these. I think to sum it up, we will ask that Jonathan makes comments about some of these where we may have missed or where he has additions. And I think after this, we should be able to basically conclude this session. We again appreciate you. We can't appreciate you more. It still remains very important for our farmers.
Thank you, Lazarus. Alors, I have pointed out a few points that we didn't answer about the involvement of the district. And not only to have reporting on a quarterly basis, but also to have visits on the field. Yes, it is included in the project. And actually, for both Ntoroko and Kasese, it's also planned to work with the extensionists of the district. Okay, so that they are directly involved and they are visiting. Okay, and this is not on a quarterly basis. I think it's a plan on a monthly basis, but Lazarus and Jolan knows better. So this is important. About the question of WWF on the use of trees. Those, we are not only planting trees, we are growing the trees, and there is, behind each model, there is a management plan. So for agroforestry, for boundary, for woodlots, we know very well that farmers are going to cut the trees. They are not going to leave those trees for 20 years. We know it very well, and we have considered this, and each system has a management plan where CODEA team is going to give advice for the farmers on when to harvest some of the trees. And this is, to me, it's also one of the beauty of the mixed woodlot system that includes some fast-growing, slow-growing trees. So in the system, we are starting with 1,100 trees per hectare. After 20 years, we finish with 700 trees. We know that the farmers are going to harvest the fast-growing one before the 20 years. This, as John quickly said it, but again, because of the time we could not detail, there are going to be several evaluations of the project. First, all during the ramp-up, but after 6 years and after 11 years, we are going to monitor closely what has been the use of the trees by the household. Especially the firewood. It's very important for us to see if we achieve sustainable household in firewood, okay, and also for the economic benefits that farmers will get from the timber trees, and especially on the fast growing. Regarding the carbon monitoring, John explained quickly that we have a very detailed MIS for the system, so every farmer is registered, every plot is registered. Now, planting 3.1 million trees, we are not going to have one GPS point for each tree, this is not possible, okay? But all plots are monitored. And so the project is registered under gold standard, under the afforestation methodology. And verifications are going to take place every 5 years. So first verification is at year 5, year 10, year 15, year 20. The verifications are going to take place on a sample, and the sample is going to be, the population will be stratified according to the year of plantation, according to the sub-counties, and according to altitude. Patrick was mentioning, did you tackle the specificities of Ntoroko? Yes, we did, but we went even beyond, because there's an altitude issue. And the lower altitude trees are not necessarily the same as the higher altitude trees. So we're also going to stratify the sampling according to altitude. And this is the way that it's going to take place. Jonan mentioned that we have some specific experts that are going to support us, but data is going to be collected by CODEA, and external auditors called VVBs are going to come every 5 years to verify that the data provided by CODEA, processed by our experts and submitted to the standards are in line with the field realities. Yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you.
Once again, as I said it, this process it's ongoing for 1 month. Okay, it is the consultation process. It is 1 month. So if anybody online, if you in the room have any more suggestions, you have feedback forms, there's a specific email that is dedicated at CODEA. You have the contact of CODEA team, you are close to them, so please feel free to add on any comments. And I would like really to appreciate your presence here today. Thank you so much. We did this meeting in Kampala expecting to have participation from the ministries, from the stakeholders in Kampala, thinking it will be complicated for them to reach Kasese. And as you, we are disappointed that they didn't make it today. And one more time, we appreciate that WWF and the Women Association could make it and represent Kampala in this meeting today. Thank you very much. We remain available for any more questions.
Received a feedback form. I will be request one of my team members to collect those. Make sure you've given us some feedback on those forms. I also want to take this opportunity to extend my vote of thanks for everyone that has made it today, both of those that are physically here and those that are online. In my language we say Alama, in Kasese we say Masinja, in France we say Masi, in Kiswahili we say Asante Sana, in Uganda we say Mweba Linyo. So I want to take, sorry? Alright, then I want to appreciate all of you for having made it today. Like they have said, I also want to encourage us. We are still receiving feedback. This is just the beginning of this stakeholder engagement in terms of receiving feedback. Allow me to welcome the director to give closing remarks, and then later on we shall have lunch, and then we'll call it a day. Thank you so much for God and my country.
through the emails. Those who are not able to attend and had they told us they will not attend, we have emails to this effect. But we regret to realize that there are also those who had promised to participate and have not made it here. Maybe they are online. So we will not stop at this. We will continue to engage them. We know there is one key point that we expected them to respond about, and this is the issue of the regulations. I spoke to one of them, people from the Ministry of Water and Environment yesterday, and told me, yes, the consultant finished the work, and the document is now at the table of the Solicitor General for final advice before the Minister can sign. To me, of course, this is good progress. If consultations have been finished and the document is now ready, this is good progress. However, we would surely appreciate if this statement was made here by the representative of the ministry, so that is taken to be authentic. So we will continue to engage until we have all we need. We know that Uganda is very supportive of the private sector, especially in the area of environment, livelihoods, and any other. We know that Uganda as a government has provided a conducive environment for us to operate. It's only that the processes of producing these regulations are taking a bit long because, you know, it involves issues of the economics. And so they cannot rush through this. I will request that stakeholders will bear with our government. It is doing what it can, and we continue pursuing all we need from government to ensure that we achieve together, and we will be proud of the results. That said, I don't want to delay you anymore here. I want to thank you for the meaningful engagement, for the contributions you have made in this meeting, and for continuing to support us. My sister from the National Association of Women Organizations, thank you very much. I made a follow-up email this morning, and they told me, oh, sorry, we had confirmed our attendance, but we got taken up by other things. I'm so happy that they made it quickly to ensure that they are present. Thank you very much. Kasese is very far from the center here. We made sure we mobilize you people who are here and you're speaking across the country to be part of this meeting so that the issues of women are very well represented. I want to inform this meeting that as CODEA, being a national organization, we are also working around the clock to have a national liaison office here in Kampala. We will soon tell you where it is located, but this is something we are taking very seriously, because I think some of these ministry officials would love to see our presence in the city so that they can give us more attention. Otherwise, on the ground, Mr. Jonathan and other stakeholders, you can realize that the districts can respond to us very, very well. And so, yes, we are going to improve national level engagements and ensure that we have this influence that can be felt. WWF, I want to thank you in a very special way. Jonathan, like I told you, WWF has given us so many sub-grants since 2013. In some years, we were having 2 sub-grants or 3 from the same donor, and we are proud of WWF. I want to thank you for this support, and you've demonstrated it even in sparing time to attend this meeting. You have contributed to our capacity strengthening. You remember there was this grant towards this? Yes, and you can see the fruits. We have won some million of euros because you built the capacity. I want you to take this credit and share with the rest of the team at WWF. Yes, some of us can speak a lot, even when we promise to speak very little. The tongue still has a lot of words to say. I want to finally thank Jonathan, the funding agency, Livelihoods Fund. They have struggled with us for 3 years to make sure this project is designed and funded. Livelihoods has moved with us several times to meet officials at the Ministry of Water and Environment trying to pursue a letter of no objection, having in the with many farmers in the field, with the district officials. They are convinced that the project is surely needed, and the farmers have demonstrated this. And now all one thing we need is a letter from the ministry to show that the national government has made a commitment to fully support the transfer of carbon rights and everything related to this at this national level. But surely, Jonathan, I have no words to use other than saying thank you very much for the support. He has even learned some of the local language words. He can communicate a little bit in the 3 years. So we think we have gotten a partner that will move with us for 20 years. This is unusual, not so. Very unusual. We talk about 5-year project, 3 years project, 1 year project. Here we are talking 20 years. This is very unusual. Thank you very much. Stakeholders, the media, we have no words. We only request you to make sure the world knows that we are doing something that will change the lives of Ugandans. We will travel, of course, at leisure. We have provided for those from up country, we expect you not to go in a rush. We expect you to be here, don't travel at night. Meet your families when you are safe tomorrow. Not so.
You have other families here.
Hey, you have other families here. Okay. Yes, so from CODEA, we thank you so much. We will request that when we invite you again, please give us the time for God and my country.
And we are just a few.
Yes, so we need a group photo. We need a group photo immediately after this microphone. We can, the cameraman can guide us on where to pause and then have this photo before we go for our lunch. So John will guide us on where the lunch is served, and that marks the end of this. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
So we have